Hey, what is up, guys? This is Platinum Point, and I'm here to bring you guys a One Piece deck profile. Today, I am going to be showcasing to you guys the deck that got me into the One Piece trading card game, and it's basically the deck that I play the most. It's Yamato. We're gonna go over my card choices and some of my thought process and strategy behind the deck, and hopefully you guys get some ideas, so stay tuned. So before we begin, I just wanted to preface to you guys why I got into One Piece quickly. I got into it because I have a bunch of my friends at locals that play it, and I saw how the gameplay was with this, and I got very interested into it. I'm not really much of a One Piece fan, like as many people are. I'm more interested in the card game itself. Like, if anything, I'm only building decks that map around either characters that I like or mechanics that I like, and the three decks the two decks that I have are surrounded by my two favorite either my two favorite characters or my two favorite groups of people. So like the first one that you're seeing right now is Yamato with the focus of the Land of Wano trait, and then the second deck that I will probably showcase to you guys later is my Marco deck, which is a heavy Whitebeard's Pirates focus. And the reason why I built that was actually my second deck. My first deck that I actually got into this game with was Eustace Captain Kidd from the first starter deck. Then after that, I just slowly built that deck up, as well as the Whitebeard deck. And I have here, what you guys hear is my Yamato build, which resulted from playing the Kid deck so often. So I'm going to go over again my deck choices, but before I go into it, just please subscribe to my channel, hit the notification button just to keep up with my more videos. And if you guys actually want to see some gameplay, whether it be remote or live, please comment below. And if you guys want to see the Blackbeard deck that I am planning on putting together very soon, please just hit that subscribe button and check out for more content. So we'll first talk about the leader. So the Yamato, what drew me to her is her ability, which is double attack, which means when I attack, I get to take two cards from my opponent takes two cards from their life. So instead of like usually attacks taking single life when attacking the leader, this leader's attack basically, and other cards that have this ability double attack, allows you to take two cards from your opponent's life. And then it also has an act main ability that's once per turn. I get to choose two of my rested dons and attach it to one of my characters. So this allows me to get free, allows me to recycle my Dawn into not only activating certain effects or playing certain cards out, but also powering up certain lanes in order to strike at my opponent's board or at their leader. So I like this card because it's a very aggressive leader, and it requires you to play a very aggressive or mid-range play style. So that's why I kind of like the Yamato leader. So let's get on to the actual deck, shall we? So I play 4 copies of the one-cost Kozuki Momonosuke. So this is your searcher of the deck. It's a pay 1. It's a activate main, so that means you can activate this every turn, so long as it's standing. You pay 1, rest this card. Look at up to the top 5 cards of your deck. Actually, no, you have to look at 5. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Reveal up to 1 Land of Wano card and add it to your hand, and then place the rest at the bottom of your deck in any order. So this allows you to sculpt for your engine pieces, as well as it's going to be the main like attack target from your opponent, because they want to cut you off from your resource gain. So it's a good magnet from from taking damage, as well as searching for what you need. So we play 4 copies of that, and that's our only 1 cost in the deck. So in One Piece, they have a mana system that's very similar to stock, but it's called Dawn, and you get 2 Dawn per turn. So if you went first, you start off with 1 Dawn. If you go second, you start off with 2, and then after every turn, you get 2 additional Dawn. So the deck requires you to manage your Dawn very well, because you want to be able to swing with this as often as you can to threaten guards, as well as to quickly end the game. So the Momonosuke is just going to help you search out for your pieces. And one of the Land of Wano pieces that I will usually look for is the Kozuki Hiyori. So this is a 2K counter. So the counter is on the side that tells you how much you can, it's basically kind of like guard triggers for Cardfight Vanguard, how much you can defend. You add the counterpoint onto the existing power of either your leader or the character that they're attacking. But yeah, so I use this as a 2K counter mainly, but I also use its other on-playability, which for 2 Dawn, I can check either the top or bottom of my life, add that card to my hand, and then choose a card from my hand and put it to the top of my life. So this allows me to kind of sculpt my triggers, because in this game, certain cards, when you take damage, will either go to your hand or have a little effect box known as trigger, which allows you to activate certain effects by just simply discarding that card. Or sometimes it might just say play this card if you check it as damage. So this allows me to sculpt my triggers and essentially manipulate my life in order to help me gain card advantage. So I play 2 of that. I also play 4 copies of the Hiyori. I play 4 copies of the Onami. So sometimes I'll use its on playability, which is give either my leader or character the ability Banish, which is basically when you deal damage, instead of that card going to their hand, it goes straight to the trash. You force them to discard that card instead. So that's actually pretty useful, because when you deal damage to your opponent, you're giving them potential resources for them to clap back at you or defend themselves from further attacks. So this allows you to kind of negate that. And for example, this card has a trigger ability, which is when this is revealed to you as damage, you can discard this card and then KO one of your characters that are cost 5 or less. I often use it either for the trigger ability, or if there are no blockers and I have enough Dawn present, I will give the Banish ability to this Yamato, ramp up the remaining Dawn underneath, and swing in to basically deal damage as well as deny them card advantage. So, and I'll sometimes give it to my other characters too, if I know I have a better chance of denying them resources. But mainly you want to target this leader, since this is it's 2 damage, so you get to deny them 2 cards after you deal 2 damage. So that's kind of the reason why I play this. And it's also a 1K guard, which is helpful. And then now for the 3 costs, I play 3 copies of the Izo. So what this Izo does is when he comes into play, I can rest one of my characters 4 cost or less character. And this allows me to either swing into them easily with my leader or my other characters, or deny blockers. So that's the only time I'll ever play it, is either if I can take out a blocker by attacking into it, or if I want to attack into my opponent's life and they have a 4 cost or less blocker, I'll just rest it. And it's also a 2K counter. Next, I play 3 copies of the blocker Charlotte Brûlée. So this blocker, what blockers do is when your opponent tries to attack you or your character, you can tap the character with the blocker trait, and your opponent, that character attacks this instead. So it helps you soak up damage. So that's why blockers are very important in One Piece. And what I like about this one, it has the trigger ability. When this card is revealed as damage, instead of discarding it, I can just play it. So it's a free blocker that I can use to chump an additional attack, as well as force my opponent to pour resources to KOing this before going at my life. So that's one thing I like about blockers, especially the low cost ones, is it forces my opponent to use resources to answer this. And most of the time they will try to either rest it or just KO it. And it's also a 1k guard. If it's in your hand, if it's in my hand, I just use it for 1k counter. And then now for the four costs, I play 4 copies of the Sanji. So this one also has a blocker ability, and it has a similar trigger ability as the Charlotte Brûlée, but I have to discard a card when this is revealed as damage to me. I discard a card and I can just play it. And it's a 4 cost 5k blocker, and it's also a 1k counter. And then lastly, for the 4 costs, I play 4 copies of the Kikunojo. So this one is one of the beat sticks that I want to trigger from my damage, because since it has no guard value, it's pretty much there just as a beat stick. And instead of investing Dawn, I'd rather play it as a trigger through its trigger ability, which is if my opponent has 3 or less life, I could play it upon trigger. And when this card gets knocked out, and sometimes your opponent might not pay attention or realize that this is a Kikunojo, so when they KO this, or if they KO this and they're at 3 or less life, I get to regen 1 life by putting the top card of a top card from my deck into life. So this kind of forces them to either find ways to remove this from the board without KOing it. And it's a 6k beat stick, which is nothing to laugh about. Next, I play 4 copies of this Yamato from set 1. So this Yamato, the reason why I play this is because a lot of my matchups tend to be against decks that play a lot of triggers. And what this Yamato does is it's a 5k 5 cost with the ability double attack, which is the same as the leader, but it has the ability banish built in. So by playing this, it forces my opponent to either address this right away or pray that they have enough guard to stop this attack, because when it lands, I get to basically take 2 free life easy. And it's an easy way to raise this number to its attack power to a point where it's difficult for them to guard, or they have to invest more cards from their hand to guard this. So that's why I like to play it, because it threatens trigger. It's my answer to triggers, and it threatens potential hand advantage. So it forces them to actually address this. If not, I just get a free beat stick that does the same thing as the leader, but banishes the cards instead. Next, I play 4 copies of the 5 cost 5k Satori. This is a vanilla beat stick that is also a 2k counter. So the thing about when deck building in One Piece is you want to have enough 2k counters because they essentially make it easier to block, because in most times they attack your leader, which has 5k. They're trying to swing for at least for like odd number damage, like 7, 9, or even 11. And the 2k counters make it easier because you just have to discard more 2k counters instead of 2k and a bunch of 1k counters. So most decks usually ideally hit a total of 12 in their deck. Some of my builds that you'll see in the future run anywhere from 12 to 16 2ks, because I actually kind of like the ability to just guard with ease without having to burn resources from my hand to do so. And it also has a trigger ability, which is when this card is revealed as damage, as my damage, I can discard a card to play it instead. And sometimes I'll just play it because it's a 5k beat stick. And the thing about this deck is you want to swarm the board with at least 2 to 3 attackers every time, because you want to force your opponent to bleed your hand when you're swinging in wide with a bunch of beat sticks. So this allows you to help kind of just increase the likelihood of just ending the game. And it's an easy 5k beat stick. So like in matchups where I don't need this Yamato, I'll use that one as guard, and I'll just use this as my beat stick. And then for my 7 costs, I play 4 copies of the Hody Jones, or as many people call it, the Broken Fish, because this card is actually pretty nuts. So when it comes into play, I can rest 2 of my opponent's characters, add a card from my life to my hand, and it has the ability Rush. So in One Piece, most cards have this is the same in Magic, the idea of summoning sickness, where they can't attack the turn they are played. But if they have the ability Rush bypasses that summoning sickness mechanic. So this having this as a late game rusher is actually pretty nuts, because most of the time you're going to be whittling your opponent down to like 1 to 2 life really easily, and this allows you to help just close the game. Especially with the Yamato's act ability, if they're at 3 or less life, after you pay the 7 Dawn to play this, you get to attach 2 of them onto either the Hody or your other attackers. And if you attach it to the Hody, it's a free 10k swing. And your opponent has to bleed hand. They'd have to either drop a combination of 6 1k triggers or 3 2k triggers, or 2 2k triggers and 2 1k triggers. So they're dropping a sizable amount of triggers to block that, to basically block this. And in order to block it, you have to go over it, by the way. So you have to block for a minimum, you have to meet them with the power of minimum 11 with 2 Dawn, or basically you basically have to go over the amount of the attack power in order to block it. And I just simply like this card because when it's time to close the game out, there were games where I will just open 1 Hody, I will break their board, they try to swing into me, I survive, I drop another Hody, and then just swing in for the kill. So like 1 or 2 Hody, all it takes is just 1 or 2 Hodys to close the game in most situations, because just the amount of like 10k swings is very hard for your opponent to block. And then lastly, my last character I play is the 2 9-drop Zoros. So this one is kind of on the similar tier as the Hody, but you don't get to attack the turn you play it. You're able to attack the next turn. But what makes this card very potent is that you can attack 3 times with this card. So the first ability is on attack. When you're attacking, you pay 1 to restand it. So your first attack will still go through, but now you get to restand and prep for the second attack. And then after that, during your turn, it's an activate main. You pay 2 Dawn to restand it. So essentially, it basically fulfills the role of having to play 2 Hody Jones, where you're gonna swing in 1 turn 3 times for a minimum of 12k. So you're gonna be trying to put 3 to 4 Dawn on this and just swing in when it's time to end the game, because your opponent is not gonna have enough hand sizes to block 2 of their attacks. They may be able to block the first one, but not the second and third. So this helps you kind of just close the game when when you don't have the Hody. And it's also a magnet for your opponent to try answer this. And then lastly, we play events, which are counters for the deck. So I play 3 copies of You're the One, who should disappear, which is a 3k counter when I play it from hand, which is you discard this card and trash an additional card from your hand, and you give your character plus 3k. However, if this is the last card of your life, when you trigger it, you discard this an additional card from your hand, and you can heal 1. So this is here for like, sometimes I'll try to scalp using the Hiyori to shove this to the bottom of my life. And when I know I'm gonna probably take lethal, I try to get this into the bottom of my life as soon as I can, so that when I can eat up a damage and try to buy myself time. Another card I'm playing for my event is 3 copies of Punk Gibson. So this one is for the cost of 2 Dawn. I get to give one of my leaders or characters plus 4k, and then I can rest one of my opponent's cost 4 characters. So this is really good because it allows me to either, if they're not good at sequencing and they play a blocker and then attack, and they're attacking for enough power to warrant this, I can block the attack and then rest their blocker, and then during my turn I can just get a free swing in. So this allows me to kind of just either rest a character to prevent a future attack, or rest a blocker to allow me to swing in much more smoothly. And then lastly, I play 2 copies of the Straw Sword event. This card is here to answer basically the big beefy bodies that are blockers, that are above the cost 4 pay grade. Mainly this is here for the Blackbeard matchup, because the 10 cost Blackbeard is a blocker, and so if I want to be able to close the game and my opponent is at 0 life, I will play this to rest that one Blackbeard, and then just swing in for a huge number. So this allows me to kind of just bypass blockers that are very problematic. So I hope you guys like this this One Piece deck profile. I went a little bit more in depth than normal, because I'm assuming not a lot of you guys know the mechanics of One Piece. But if in later videos I will be a little bit more concise. I just wanted to kind of just explain how this deck works for a beginner if they want to try this out, because I do like this deck. It's very beginner friendly because it's an aggressive deck. Like, I always recommend when you get into card games for the first time, playing aggro is actually very easy to do. It's easier to learn the game by playing an aggro deck than it is to play control deck, because control decks are very like you need a lot of thought to play it. So I picked this deck up because I like aggro decks a lot, especially because I just like Yamato. So I hope you guys like this video. The next one I'm going to be doing is going to be a Pokemon deck profile. I will be doing another One Piece deck profile. It's going to be on my Marco deck, and then I will also feature my Blackbeard deck once I get it built up. Right now it hasn't come out yet, and once it does, I'm going to see if I can get the pieces from one of my friends at Locals, because he's going into a couple cases. A couple people I know are going into a couple cases, so I'm going to see if I can get my hands on the Blackbeard pieces, because that deck is that archetype is one of my favorites, because Marshall D Teach is my favorite character. I actually like him. He's kind of cool. So I hope you guys like this video. Once again, the next video that you're probably going to see is either another Vice Schwartz deck profile or a Pokemon deck profile. I will be doing a couple discussion videos. I know I haven't been posting for a long time, but things happened and I needed time to just let life kind of sort itself out. But I will be back. I am back, and I will be posting regularly. My next live stream is probably going to be next week Friday, where I will be probably doing some video gaming or deck building streams. So keep an eye out for that. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe. False crack that like button if you like this. Like to see more One Piece videos, or if you want to see me go do some Weiss content as well. Peace out, YouTube, and stay on point.